Hello, hello, hello. This is the podcast from Simtas Moshiach, Moshiach Alley in Sfas. We're beginning with a question. Adina, my dear wife, can we have a miracle in our midst? After a lot of terrorism, thank God we have a right-wing government in Israel that believes in safety and security, not kind of delusional ideas about giving, they say if you bend your head to the enemy, they'll probably chop it off. That's all of human history, but that's not the subject. The subject is when things are good. Never before in human history have things been, to many people, better. And yet, particularly the people that have it so well are getting onto drugs and they're losing their lives. Some parts of America, the number one killer in a young age bracket is suicide. How do we live when things are good and get better?
Okay, so why don't you just look at this parsha, and this is Parshas Lech Lecha. We started the Torah a couple weeks ago, Parshas Bereshis. We talked about the creation of the world, Parshas Noach, the flood, and kind of the new world that emerged after the flood. And then we come to Avraham Avinu, and it opens with, he's already 75 years old, and God speaks to Abraham, and says Lech Lecha. And grammatically, it doesn't seem to make any sense why it would speak that way, because it really means go to yourself, go for yourself, go to yourself. So really, this is kind of a constant journey that we have in life, because there's always, obviously, it was like in Avraham Avinu's journey, he had external challenges that he had to face and struggles, and he says he was tested 10 times. He really is coming more to the essence of who he is, and we're going to come to the birth of the Jewish people and the whole story, but this is really our life, and we're constantly always living with the energy in the world. And I think that it's also important to note in the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the last discourse that he handed out was a discourse, V'atzat Tzava, which is around the time of Purim, and it was speaking about the job of Moshe Rabbeinu, the job of a leader. And basically towards the end of that, we're spoken through different times in our history, when things are hard externally, we're forced to come to a place that's deeper within ourselves. And anybody who's been through a challenge and really faced it and grew through that knows how much they've grown through a challenge. We don't want challenges. And now we live in times where we have abundance, thank God. It's easier to get things in America, it's overwhelming options. Thank God. We have whatever we need. And to really come to really being something that this eternal light, and to really living a true life and living in this constant way of Lech Lecha, of who am I really, where am I really going, where is my focus, and the focus really needs to be truth. And it's not always the most comfortable thing, but I think to live in a way of constant growth and constant truth.
Oh, that's true. And I just wanted to add that my wife Adina showed me today a beautiful teaching by Rabbi Jacobson. And this is a teaching of Sfas Emes. He was the second Gerer Rebbe. Unfortunately, 1 million Gerer Chassidim were massacred in cold blood in the Holocaust. And so it shows how many, it's almost a sixth of the Jews that were murdered. So they actually made up a large percentage of the Jewish people. And so you can imagine the Rebbe, the great Rebbe, was a great man. In fact, his grandfather was the Chidush Yarim, and the Chidush Yarim had 10 sons, I believe. They all passed away in his lifetime, and then this young man, who was only about 20, is meant to head this massive, probably one of the largest Jewish movements in the world. And he said to his grandfather, Grandfather, how can I lead this movement? So he said to him, once there was a mountain climber, and he climbs up Everest, and he gets to the top of Everest, and after many months, and he sees a little kid there playing on the top. He says, little boy, how did you get here? He says, I was born on the mountain. So he said, you were already born, and our generation, especially you, the younger generation, are born with the infinite wisdom of God in this divine era of redemption. And this really is the succinct point. This is the most amazing thing that we can possibly hear. And that is that, as the Sfas Emes says, and if I may say, there's a line, they say, Baruch Shikivanti Ligdas Gdelim, was actually a line that I kind of thought of, but it was only today, a couple hours ago, that I saw that a great rabbi said it. So I feel, I don't know if validated, I guess is the right word. And the line is like this. The Rebbe says what I'm going to say now. It's very famous, but very fundamental. You know, the first Torah portion is to Adam, who is not Jewish, and the second is about Noah, who is not Jewish, the fathers of humanity in a way. But the first line to a spiritual seeker, somebody that's seeking the truth independently, like many of us are today, they're growing up, Abraham grew up in Ur, a very civilized place, a very organized place, so he didn't have to run after bread. He had, as Maslow's hierarchy, he was able to be in his highest potential. What do they call that? The top of Maslow's hierarchy? I forgot what it's called. Self-actualization, right? Thanks.
Well, you're welcome.
Should I finish this line?
Wait, I was just, because I just had a thought on what you were saying.
Go for it.
So I think that it wasn't even so much that Abraham was a spiritual seeker, a truth seeker. I think it was that he had a desire to give back. He had gratitude.
Oh, nice.
He wasn't just looking what was in, what's the truth? Like, where can I get the thing that's going to last forever? The true thing, truth is the eternal. Where am I going to, he wasn't looking what was in it was for him. Right. He was looking he was looking to give back. He had a sense of gratitude, which we don't really see in the same kind of way. And because it says the world was like, it was on fire. And like Avram was looking around like, who's the master of this place? Like, what's going on here? And in essence, though, we always have to draw on the koach of, we always have to draw on the strength of our patriarchs. So in a way, like, this is always, each one of us has this challenge in life. But I just think that more than he was seeking, like, he was really had there was a selflessness, a true selflessness. He had a unique relationship in a way that he was literally part of Hashem. His mission was, what we were just learning 2 seconds ago, was like, he had to come down from his lofty level. His job of being Abraham wasn't to keep going up in levels. He had to come down. So he wasn't looking for the most spiritual satisfaction. He was just united with his purpose. Right.
So just to conclude this teaching of the Sfas Emes, so he says like this, very profound teaching. So the Rebbe speaks about the idea that Lech Lecha is the first statement to a Jew, so it must be very, very important. And it means literally, as Rashi says, Lech Lecha, go into yourself. And what that means is that there's a part of ourselves, the main part of ourselves, our soul, that we ourselves don't know. If I said, point to yourself, you'll probably point to your body. You can't point to your soul. You don't even know your own self, the source of your own life. But that source is God. So how do you go to God? And this is a very, very important teaching, because this is the ultimate destiny when we're talking about, okay, what are we going to do in the times of Moshiach? Everything is good now. Now what? And that's what a lot of people struggle with. Now what? What is my goal? What is my mission? And the answer is not to get high, but to get higher. The difference between the two is high is getting into an escapism from my reality. I just want to escape it all. I want to get high. But higher means that I want to go beyond my current level, and I want to be able to ascend. Yes.
I was just going to say, like, and I think that also sometimes, like, high and deep, like, is kind of can be kind of the same thing. Like, deep, higher means more, sometimes also mean deeper, and we all like translate things differently. Higher doesn't mean more out of yourself. It means more in to my true being. Doesn't mean it. That also can be manifest when a person goes out of themselves and in ways of helping other people, expanding our boundaries. But I think that, like, for some people the analogy higher, and for some people deeper, like whatever language speaks best. But like, sorry, I didn't.
That's good. That's very deep. It's high and deep. It's higher and deeper. So, but the point is this, that the ultimate way to get to infinity, which is beyond what any of us know, is to be able to live. And my father told me this, that the Rebbe says the hardest avodah, because really the only thing that we all have in common from the time of Abraham till this very moment is avodas Hashem. We're here to serve God. But what is the best service of God? So there are, a million different religions, and they're all trying to serve God, and they all have different philosophies. But really, the way to serve something unknown is to be able to live with the unknown. And so this is what we call hashgacha pratis. In other words, that God is always communicating with you what to do. So, for example, the Rebbe says that in Jerusalem, in Sfas, you see hashgacha pratis more than the rest of the world. And so the idea is that divine providence. Yes, thank you. Hashgacha pratis is that God's hand is with you, and not only is it with you, it's guiding you. Not only is it guiding you, it's not only guiding you in the physical realm, but in the spiritual realm, how to grow, how to become a better person all the time.
Which I also think a lot of times people need to get help from outside, 100%.
Yeah.
Can be...
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's like a really important thing. It's important to have somebody that we feel comfortable with, and that somebody that can guide us, that gives us... When another person can make a space for us to feel vulnerable, like sometimes it's even hard for us to feel vulnerable with ourselves. Like when another person can make a safe space, like I know there's like a lot of coaches and there's a great help out there these days. So I think that, it's a really important thing actually in Sefer Yetzirah talks about like when there's two things and you know that Hashem's infinite. Like like when it's like this whole thing with when there was the curses and the blessings, it was two things. When the Berkas Kohanim, it's two things. So when the covenant with Abraham, they split down the line, because when you have these two energies, like even when you think of, this is like very high level, like a bride and a groom, and then you have the chuppah that's over that transcends them both. The analogy of the male, the Hashem, and the male-female dynamic of life. Like, so I think that, sorry, I don't know, this got totally off topic, but because I think sometimes people hear like, oh, and then they think they have to do it myself. We never have to do it ourselves. And sometimes when we like humble ourselves and get help from another person, it allows the channel for Hashem to come in and help actually. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yes, absolutely.
All right.
No problem. So, basically, in conclusion, the point is this, that we have this ability. Basically, what is the mind, ultimately? I remember I was walking down in Crown Heights. This kind of eccentric, wise Chassid rabbi stops me like 2 a.m. and he's like, do you want to know what the mind is? I'm like, okay. So he says, the Rebbe says the mind is its own perception of itself, which is very deep, because basically all that we know is what we've learned. We don't really know beyond what we've learned. So you have two types of people. The one person says, I know what my mind knows, and what my mind knows is the truth. The other person says, no, I'm in an infinite learning cycle. What my mind knows now is what it was taught. And my mind can always learn more. My heart can always love more. My body can always give more. The ability to understand that only gifts from God have come to me and infinite gifts will come to me opens us up to the real redemption, which is the infinity of God present in our reality. Any thoughts on that?
I think we can continue another time, but I think that... No, I mean, I don't know if it's relevant. I was going to say it was also like a big thing that came up in dating. Should I not go there? But it is, because sometimes we think like when we can let go of ourselves and have kind of the way we have to let another person be who they are, we have to let Hashem be who he is. When we make that space and we do it all the time. I have an idea, it's a limited idea, and I'm going to project this, and I'm going to think that this is what just projecting myself everywhere. So when something doesn't meet that standard, instead of stepping back and say, let me receive what's happening, I'm going to judge. And I think that also that's part of this kind of going on this journey into the unknown. And back at the Parsha, the weekly Torah portion with Abraham, when he first, Hashem's like, go here, and then his wife gets abducted, and then he becomes poor, and then this, and then eventually he comes back and he has money and all this. But the promises weren't playing out right away. He just kept going. So he wasn't trying to tell God who he was. He was allowing Hashem to be who he was and allowing Hashem to grow him into who he needed to be.
That's amazing. That's a beautiful, beautiful teaching. Yes, that's beautiful. First time I heard that, and I think it's a very, very profound idea of allowing God to be God. And I often think that God's role in a way is to be your guide, because he doesn't, like a parent, a healthy parent, doesn't want to squash the child's initiatives, take away the child's freedom. On the contrary, they want the child to take initiative from a place of freedom. So God is really here to guide you and to give you the space to allow you to be you, and to, when you're interested, you can even ask him. There's actually a famous teaching that you can actually ask God in the first thought, and something you can try, see if it works, is God's kind of reply. But we have, that could be a point of contention. So the point of the matter is, any concluding thoughts?
I think a good concluding thought is we should try to live with that energy of being open to sometimes we're all in a different place. Sometimes we have to reinterpret the story of our lives. We can't change the past, but we can change the way we tell it to ourselves.
Right.
We can like another thing that I was looking at, like even it's a whole other section with Sari Menu with her being kidnapped, and a whole other section with her involvement in the thing. But basically, kind of, we get to choose what role we play in our lives. I think it's like a really important shift. Like none of us have to. So I think that I guess maybe that's the important message people come away with. Like, because Hashem's really just whispering to us all the time, like lech lecha. He's not sending us on a trick. He's not tricking us. He's sending us on a journey for our betterment, for our own good, to grow us. And we can't control the past. We can control the way we tell ourselves that story. We don't have to be the victim of the story. We can decide to say to ourselves, wow, that was so hard. I feel it, but you're so strong. Like, we can choose how we narrate, kind of, in a way, like what voice we tell ourselves about our past. And I think that, like, when we live with that sort of consciousness and awareness and continue to grow in that way, then we open ourselves up to see miracles. We see, wow, I got from here to here and I didn't see how that was going to happen. So, like, whatever's next, I know it's going to be good, but I don't have to draw out every detail. I don't have to kind of, I guess, living with that sense of trust and wonderment at the same time.
Lovely. That's good stuff. No question, I marry the best here. So very fortunate. That's a very deep line. You can retell yourself the story of your life in a good narrative, because if you're here, you're watching, you're amazing, you're strong, you're beautiful, you're awesome. And we are about to enter into the full redemption with Moshiach. Please God, we will soon see David, Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayim, the real king of Israel, King David, who lives eternally. All the tzaddikim, all the great sages, they're alive. And they are going to just come straight out of their temporary locations and lead us in song and dance, especially the women. Miriam, she felt the bitterness of exile, and therefore, as the Rebbe says, she will rejoice even more than the men, because from the darkness comes the greater light and the greater appreciation of light. And so much of what we have today is one of the things that I like teaching a lot, is the importance of literally the first thought that you have in the morning is your train of thought. Get up in the morning and say thank you. Half of Jewish prayers is saying thank you. Because, thank God, our challenge often is a challenge of having almost too much prosperity, which is a better challenge than poverty. But the thing is, we become easily distractible because we're not focused. When somebody, I lived in Africa for many years, and then, people there are quite focused. Ironically, they're much happier because at least they think that money will make them happy, and so they're all working to try to make a buck and this and that. But people that have that and know that it's not going to make them happy are often just aimless. And one of the examples I'd like to give, if you're on an ocean, you have a cruise line, you have everything you need except for one thing, a direction. Imagine how you'd feel. So having that focus in life and knowing that we are here, lech lecha, we are here to grow. And this is it. It's really quite simple. You're a beautiful person, the person that you are, and you're just here to increase, make it better, grow. And I guess the conclusion of the conclusion is there was a very special doctor. He had many patents and surgeries, this and that. And he came to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he was a very clever man. He wasn't religious. And he said to Rebbe, I want to be a chassid. I want to be a follower of yours. But I can't see myself in a black hat and a beard. So the Rebbe said to him, I consider every Jew who daily grows a chassid. The idea of infinity precludes the possibility of the finite. And if the finite exists in the infinite, the finite is really infinite. And that's what we know with quantum physics. Things are not finite. They're actually infinite. And what that means for me and you is that our stories have just begun. and our journeys are endless, and our possibilities are infinite. Let us embrace our ability to always grow.